Hello, the name is Regis Kilbin, and the game is Heroes of the Storm. And today I'm going to present to you a build for Cho, specifically the Cho half of Cho'Gall. I'm calling it the Blazing Cho build. It is really kind of a bruiser type build for Cho. I don't think you should be trying to solo tank as Cho. I think his role is more of an off-tank disruptor who's good at absorbing damage but can also put out a little bit of damage. And this blazing build essentially allows you to do that. It gives you the survivability you need, but also has some damage components to make you a little bit more threatening in tandem with a Gall that is played well. Now I should note that I really can't recommend Cho or Gall, or both, for Hero League, but if you are trying to level Cho to level 10 via quick match, or you just want to have some fun and you're looking for the best build, then this is the one I'd go with. But again, I don't think this is a viable Hero League build. Cho'Gall is awfully bad in Hero League, and in general I think he should just avoid that gameplay mode until either some changes are made or the meta suits him a little bit better. So without further delay, let's go ahead and talk about the Blazing Cho build. I'm going to run through the talents real quickly. Level 1 Blazing Bulwark, Seared Flesh, Fire Eater, Hammer of Twilight, Molten Block, Twilight Veil, and finally S'Thun's Gift. Now, to hit those in a little bit more detail, starting at level 1, Blazing Bulwark, your W Consuming Blaze grants you 1 stack of block when you hit an enemy hero. Up to 10, block reduces the damage taken from enemy basic attacks by 50%, of course, like block always has. This is really just Cho's kind of upgraded version of the basic talent block. It's going to be a little bit hard to see in action, but your W as Cho is really your most reliable. Notice we haven't taken damage yet from Arthas there, but you probably saw the block animation go through. Your W is your most reliable ability as Cho that doesn't really require activation from Gall or synergy from Gall. It's easy to hit and you can control it the most. So having talents built around that W gives you a little bit more just control of your hero and your talents, and you control your destiny in regards to what is making your hero strong instead of relying totally on synergy. So whether you're playing with a random or just a friend, using Consuming Blaze more reliably can make you a stronger and more consistent player. And Blazing Bulwark just gives you that extra defensive edge, because your W is going to be using it every second you can, and if you hit multiple enemies, getting up to 10 stacks of block is pretty crazy. That's 10 straight basic attacks you're negating, which is a huge deal. So it can be a really nice defensive edge for Cho. At level 4, we're going to go with Seared Flesh. This is yet another buff to Consuming Blaze. This time though, basic attacks against targets inflicted by Consuming Blaze deal 25% more damage. So if you notice, our normal basic attack right now hits for 331. Once we Consuming Blaze, it hits for 414. So, it's a 85 point upgrade or something like that at level 20, which is pretty significant when you're attacking relatively often. So that can really add up. That's where the damage component starts to come through. It's really the basic attacks for this build that do damage, and synergies off your Consuming Blaze ability that help you with the defensive side of things. So at level 7, we're going to go with Fire Eater. Basic attacks against targets inflicted with Consuming Blaze heal you for 50% of the damage dealt. So we know that we're attacking for 414 each time when they're inflicted by Consuming Blaze, and we're healing for half that. You'll notice the 207's popping up. The 75 is from some other stuff, but 207 is the heal every attack, which is pretty significant. Of course, we have 8,000 health, so it takes a while to heal up to full from 8,000, but 207 is not insignificant compared to heals that heal for like 6 to 800 at level 20. You can see that compared to an actual dedicated support hero, just a few attacks adds up to a full heal cooldown cycle. So Fire Eater's pretty nice to help keep you in the fight and keep you alive. At level 10, we're going to go with Hammer of Twilight. This passively increases your basic attack damage by 25%, so we've already been seeing that in effect in our attacks since we're level 20. But also you can activate your ult, or your heroic, to swing the hammer and deal 376 damage, pushing enemies away and stunning them for 0.75 seconds. So this is a pretty cool heroic with a very short cooldown. You notice the knockback and the stun, and it has a 15-second cooldown, which for heroics is pretty short. Now I'm exploiting the toggle cooldowns here and using it very, very often, but the range on this is really, really good. The damage is significant, and the knockback and stun is very powerful. Plus, your hero gets equipped with this really awesome-looking Twilight Hammer, and you get a passive attack damage increase, which is super nice when you're trying to be that Bruiser type of Cho. So this allows you to really swing your weight around and influence fights and stun pretty rapidly. It's almost like a basic attack stun, like Muradin or someone. But it's in a huge range, so you can do a lot of work with Hammer of Twilight. Level 13, we're going to go with Molten Block. Activate to place yourself in stasis and gain invulnerability for 3 seconds, damaging nearby enemies for 202 damage per second. So this is an activated talent. It's our first slot here. We want the minions on. I want to show you this in action. Not only is this ice block like Jaina or Malfurion or someone might have, but it does damage in an area around it as well. So if you really get in trouble, you can see it ticks for 100 every half a second, and it lasts for 3 seconds, right? So it's doing 600 damage in an area. It's a pretty small area around you, but still, if you get in trouble and people want to clump up, you're in the middle of the enemy team in a team fight, it's a nice way to buy yourself some time, avoid high damage burst from something like a Nova Precision Strike, but also pump out just a little bit extra damage in the meantime, which really does meet the Bruiser mentality of this build, damage while staying alive. At level 16, we're going to yet again buff Consuming Blaze. You'll notice that our talents down here are very orange. That is definitely the theme of this build, rightfully so. This time though, it's Twilight Veil. Consuming Blaze reduces damage taken from abilities by 50% for 2 seconds per enemy hero hit. So this is essentially Spell Shield, which most tanks have, but this time around it's per enemy hero hit. So if you hit 5 enemy heroes, for instance, you get 10 seconds worth of Spell Shield instead of just 2 seconds worth of Spell Shield, and that's nuts. Reducing incoming ability damage by 50% for that long can really add up to a ton of damage mitigation, right? Just a couple blizzards and you've almost saved 1,000 damage just like that. So if you're able to get right in the middle of the enemy team and get off that Consuming Blaze, because you'll notice the area of effect is pretty large. It's not too hard to hit 2 to 3 people in some scenarios if you wait for the right moment. And getting all those stacks of Spell Shield is really significant when you already have a super high health pool. So it just gives you more time to go around and swing that hammer. And then finally, at level 20, we're going to go with Sithun's Gift. Your basic attacks become ranged, and they slow targets by 20% for 2 seconds. So one of the problems with Cho'Gall is closing the distance to people. If they decide to run from you, you're not that fast. It's hard to close gaps. And your movement ability, excuse me, that's not what I meant to hit, Q, it takes so long to wind up, and it's a little bit awkward to use that it's not great at closing gaps either. So this level 20 talent, Sithun's Gift, makes your attacks ranged. You'll notice we can attack these towers from farther away than the melee distance. Here would be melee distance, but here's our max range. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility and leeway on auto attack, and it also slows opponents by 20% for 2 seconds. So that allows your normal movement speed to catch up as well, so they have a harder time getting away. 20% is not the biggest slow ever, but it's significant enough that you'll notice the impact of it. So that's the talent that allows you to really connect and make sure you're always right there, up in people's face, abusing stuff like your stun, and making sure they're in Consuming Blaze range, and even setting them up for the Q kind of push. So it's basically sealing the deal on these other talents. I don't think it's the strongest talent in this build, but the other 2 options you can't even get. Favor the Old Gods, and the Will of Gaul is too reliant on your partner and doesn't actually do all that much. So Sithun's Gift is a pretty natural choice at level 20. And there you have it. That's the build for the Blazing Cho. Again, it's Blazing Bulwark, Seared Flesh, Fire Eater, Hammer of Twilight, Molten Block, Twilight Veil, and Sithun's Gift. I think this is the best way to play Cho right now. You don't want to tank, but it still has survivability options mixed in with a few different auto attack buffs and damage options that really benefit from using your W, which to me is the most reliable ability in all of Cho's kit. So I think you'll have more fun playing Cho like this. Again, please don't take him into Hero League just because you think you have a viable build. This is really more for maximizing your enjoyment out of Quick Match, and as you slog your way to level 10 with Cho, I think this build will give you the most consistent results. So have fun out there with the right half of this crazy hero, and until next time, game on.